Melphany Evans is an African-American woman who was a vice president and CFO for one of the offshoots of BP, the BP Corporation, the oil company. So she's was actually pretty high-ranking employee for BP, and she was fired because she continued to wear quote-unquote ethnic clothing, including what is known as a dashiki, which is just a tunic or a loose-fitting blouse that is a common piece of wardrobe for African-American women that became popular in the 60s. There's nothing inappropriate about it. It's just a printed blouse called a dashiki, and also for wearing braids in her hair, and which is what her bosses called ethnic hairstyles. She's now suing the BP Corporation for discrimination because she's been fired for dressing in a normal cultural way. She did nothing wrong. She wasn't wearing anything inappropriate. There's no dress code, but her bosses claim that she was making people uncomfortable. She claims in her lawsuit that her bosses told her that she could only dress that way on Culture Day, during Black History Month, or during some other special event. And they said that dressing that way made her colleagues feel uncomfortable, and that it intimidates people, and that it's inappropriate, and if you're going to wear something like that you should alert people ahead of time before you show up dressed in quote-unquote ethnic clothing and hairstyles. She continued to dress this way, and she was fired for it, so now she's suing.
Oh man, Daishiki sounds foreign, sounds scary. Better fire her. Better lock her up for being a terrorist. Are you kidding?
I know. This kind of it's so juvenile and it's so petty. And this is in Orange County, California, by the way.
Just because it's in California don't mean it's in liberal country.
That's true. Orange County is actually quite known for being quite a conservative area of California. Actually, quite heavily Christian. And mostly white, and
apparently very, very afraid of black people and ethnic clothing.
Yes, I know. The thing is, this story is so confusing. What exactly is intimidating about any type of clothing? I mean, aside from perhaps like a Nazi uniform or a KKK hoodie or something like that actually is meant to intimidate people.
Let's get down to the real issue. It's because she was black and she was expressing black culture. That scares the shit out of some people.
I don't know.
Come on, dude. Come on.
It depends on the context.
It depends on who it is too, because
certain
normal people aren't scared by dashikis.
No. Because certain work environments have wardrobe requirements, right?
Like a dress code, I get that.
If she's supposed to wear a suit like every day or whatever, or something formal, and she didn't do that, then I can understand that. But the part that puts it over the top for me is the hair. Like, they're saying that her hair is too ethnic. Like, that's the part where it gets like super racial for me. Like clothing, like I hate dress codes, and I don't get into that at all. But a lot of companies have wardrobe requirements, like you're supposed to, or a dress code. So I can understand that, but it's weird when they get it becomes more obvious what they're actually saying when you get to the hair, and then when they say that it's intimidating.
Yeah, what's so intimidating about a printed blouse? Because that's apparently all it was, right? I mean,
right.
It's not like what is it not floral enough for you? Or what? What was it printed? Was it printed with like the I don't know, something that the elephants or something like that? Something that's weird and tribal for them? I don't get it. I mean,
it's too many colors. Colors intimidate people.
It's too colorful for you. Oh, so you must be incredibly drab.
You gotta wear your corporate grays at all times.
Look, I understand the idea of having a dress code, but and I get that. But you're right when you point out the hair thing. The hair thing really kind of puts it over the edge and takes it into racial territory. Now, I wouldn't have like an outrage if they're like, hey, we have a dress code, you're not following the dress code, and so we're gonna have to let you go because you're not conforming to our standards. Okay, I can understand that, but when you get over the top with the hair,
Yeah,
come on.
that gets a little, and we know that braided hair, braided hair is seen as a more black thing. Like every time an athlete, and the example I'm going to go to is Michael Vick, gets arrested or anything, the first thing they do is get rid of the braids, right, and shave their head when they go to court, because there is that perception of braided hair. So that is definitely a racial thing.
Mhm.
It's just like if they would have left it at the clothing and they're like, look, we have a dress code. You're supposed to wear a suit and a tie every day, and you're wearing your cultural clothing, which is nice, but you're not supposed to wear that to work. I would understand it. But then the hair and then your clothing is intimidating me, and then like it's just
Right. The intimidating the thing, like, that's what also puts it over the top. Not just the hair, but the fact that the language that they used.
Mm-hmm.
Your dress, your blouse is intimidating me.
Right, and not
It
once.
means you're scaring away the rest of the white people here.
And
yeah,
not once did they actually even reference a dress code of any kind, though. They didn't say, well, you're violating the dress code. They just basically said, no, we don't want you dressing that way because we find it intimidating and it makes us uncomfortable.
And it's too ethnic.
Right.
It's too ethnic, whatever that means, which really what it means is that you're too different from us and it makes us feel uncomfortable. It's unacceptable, and I'm sure she didn't just start dressing this way out of the blue, and she obviously, being a vice president, has worked her way up the ladder. So I'm also wondering if this isn't also something that they've used in order to get her out of the way because they don't want her there anymore for whatever other reason, even if that's just racially motivated. They're sick of this black woman, climbing the ranks, and they want her out, so they'll make up an excuse, whatever.
It's really, but it
seems
really,
like they're targeting her.
But I don't know if I quite agree with the fact that they're targeting her. I think that they're very uncomfortable because, like you said, it's traditional West African clothing, right? And what stood out to me in this article is the fact that you had that it was a political and cultural symbol for African Americans in the 1960s. Now, there are people that are still alive from the 1960s, right, that are still racists from that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like usually like things like this are about something else. Like usually they'll just use something as a convenient excuse to fire them. But I have to imagine if that's not the case and they were really just put off by her clothing, she just like for whatever reason.
Not just by the how the clothing looked, but what it represented.
Yeah,
because what it represented was economic and racial equality, and that's what really makes it sort of, I think, in my mind, a racial thing. This is definitely a racial thing.
Yes, I agree, definitely.
Like, how dare you be proud of being black?
No, that's what I'm saying. It's a racial thing, which would imply that she probably started putting it on like later or something, or they found, or somebody, she was always doing it and then somebody found out from like corporate or whatever, and he was like, and he wanted to get rid of her, or it's just weird. The clothing thing is the clothing issues always bother me. I don't care about anybody's clothes. I just hope that you're wearing clothes when you're in my presence. Like, other than that, I don't care. But the hair to me is the big indicator here, because they're like, your your hair is too ethnic and your clothing is intimidating, right? And it reminds me of that the newswoman. She was a black newswoman and she didn't like press her hair, and she kept getting emails from this guy, this racist guy, back and forth. He was saying, oh, well, you should accept our Western standards for attractive hair and all that, and he just kept getting at her. It reminds me of that, and like that's usually when you're criticizing people for their natural hair, when it's black people, that's a racial thing.
Actually, there's another story that goes along with this, and that was that 12-year-old that was threatened to get suspended from a Christian school because of her natural hairstyle. And she didn't want to actually like put it back or or get it cut or something like that because it's like just a big natural fro, and they were like, no, you got to get rid of it. We can't have you looking like that. We can't have your hair going like that. And like I said, it was
Being
at a
natural, being the way that it normally is.
yeah.
Right.
That's definitely totally racist and discriminatory and just disgusting of people to be uncomfortable to be discomforted by hair and clothing.
It's not the hair though. It's the
it's
the
the
black.
meaning behind it. The message behind there is obviously if you want to fit into white culture and be accepted, then you have to act and look as white as possible without actually being white.
And isn't it it's sort of a measure of trying to take control of someone
Right.
else, trying to tell them what to do? No. You're going to conform to our standards. You
Right.
cannot be yourself. You can't be too black. No. Conform to our standards, or else.
And what's funny, and this is I'm like digressing a little bit about them banning afros in school. What's funny is the way that they try and make it not seem racist actually makes it seem more racist because they say you could hide a weapon in your afro, and I can't think of anything more racist than that. And they actually had a kid like pull out like little knives from his afro, and there's a hilarious video. It's like unintentionally hilarious. Right, because it's like it's so over the top racist, and that's why anytime you're criticizing black hair, it's like, or black people's hair, it's like because anybody can have black hair, it's like the Don Imus thing, like it's a racial thing, like.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please leave a comment below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and share with your friends. If you want to see more, go to our channel at youtube.com/TYTNation, and if you really want to support the show, support this channel, go to our fundraising campaign at www.patreon.com/TYTNation. The website is in the description below. Thank you guys, and keep watching.